I would like to welcome all to this hall of stain, where we salute who stood tall, whether blood or cuss. Boost closed out the mall, drug dealers are fiends, strippers and hood entrepreneurs. We them ghetto stars. I know generals with scars. They gon' tell us about their life and try to guide you through yours. Hey, Scooney on the beat, soldier smooth hit record. Where we live by the gun, try not to die by the sword. We them ghetto stars.
We them ghetto stars.
Yo, once again, welcome back. It's your dog, Breeze Bazurke, representing GhettoStarzPodcast. We live from Code Red Towers, here with the big brother. I'm Hotep, aka Polo Sean. Salute, my G.
Salute.
How you feeling, man?
I'm alright, you heard?
That's what it do, man. So we gonna get straight into it, man. Tell the people where you hail from. Where your beginning starts?
BX.
BX. The Bronx, what side of the Bronx, man?
Allerton Avenue, the north side.
Oh, shit. Uptown, baby. Yeah, the Bronx is a real significant place to all of us, because that's where hip-hop started at, of course. Take me back to your memories of that. How old were you when your first introduction into hip-hop?
Man, first introduction to hip hop, I would have to say, will be it's the Furious Five. I remember them.
No doubt.
My first tape was a Run DMC tape. It was white.
Ooh.
1983. So I would say Run DMC will be the first rap group that I really studied and actually went out and spent money to get their tape.
No doubt, you was digging them the most.
1983, I was 7.
You were 7 years old. Wow,
83.
that's significant because that's when I first started getting into rap.
Wow.
Yeah, 7 years old exactly. I picked up my first pen and all that. So
Gotcha.
you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got a sister. I don't know where she at, but yeah, I got a sister. That's it.
The last time you seen her?
My mom's passed away in 2009.
Sorry to hear that, man.
I seen her. Yeah, appreciate it.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the last time I seen her. She was in the military, so
For sure.
you know, she moved around.
No doubt. What high school did you attend, if you went to high school at all?
I attended Columbus, Christopher Columbus in the Bronx. Briefly, but yeah, no other high schools.
No doubt. So, what was your first introduction to crime, man?
Crime?
Yeah.
My first introduction to crime. Actually, I can't really remember, but what I'll tell you is, you ever heard the song Self-Destruction?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Kumo D and a lot of other rappers in that song, they was rhyming about a guy named Julio. He was from my block. He was a Dominican cat.
Okay.
He was big time on my block. He actually got killed by the Decepticons over his gold chain.
Oh, shit.
Right, he got stabbed.
Wow.
And as you see, Kumo D, he took a brother's life with a knife to his wife.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to him.
Oh.
Right, he didn't want to give up the chain.
Wow.
So he was the first person to basically introduce me to the drug game at 9 years old.
Wow. What kind of drugs were those, if you don't mind?
Crack.
Crack.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing then.
Well, it was just basically taking off.
Just taking off right there. So you still was experimenting with it and trying
I was actually my mother. He had respect for my mother, so he wouldn't let me hustle in the street. So what we had me do, you know, me and the kids in my building, we would play in the lobby and stuff like that, and I would hold the packs in the building.
Right.
So you know, certain individuals will come, give me the money, I give them the pack, hold the money, wait for him to come, you know, like that.
Yeah.
That's how it started for me.
Oh man, that's crazy. So, what was the first time that you ever were captured by law enforcement?
I would say 90. 1990 would be probably the first time that I was ever captured by the police.
What happened?
Well, they basically caught me hustling. I ran. They caught me, and when they realized how young I was, they took me home to my mother.
Yeah.
And told my mother what I was out there doing. And you know, my relationship with my mother was never the same after that day.
Oh man. And that was 1990.
Yeah, that was 1990.
Man, what was it like when you first walked through them doors, man? You know, just the fact that I know you in the back of the car, the paddy wagon. What was you thinking to yourself on the way in?
I just felt stupid. Like, damn, I wasn't fast enough. I couldn't get over that gate. You know, that's basically what I was thinking. But I didn't go to jail at that time. Like I said, he just brought me to my mother's house. You know, basically doing me a favor.
Man, that's love.
I didn't make it to jail till the next year in '91 when I went to Spotswood.
Oh yeah, that's gladiator school as well.
Yeah, it was. You know, from an adolescent perspective.
For sure. So, have you ever been to Rikers Island?
Yeah, my first time at Rikers Island was, I would have to say, late '93, early '94.
93, 94. And at this time, did you see the Bloods forming in New York City?
I didn't really, those times I was in and out. So, you know, I would get locked up, I would either get R-Ward, or I would get, you know, $2,500 bail, $1,000 bail, $1,500, you know, I used to get caught for hand-to-hand a lot.
Right.
Or possession, stuff like that. And so I didn't really pay attention to that stuff until 90, I would say the end of '94.
94. And
the end of '94.
Who was the first Blood that you knew of?
All right, so I was in adolescence, and SI was there.
Strong Island.
C Diamonds, the Los, the original, from the Bronx. Webb. Let me see. Who else was there? Mel Murder, the original Mel Murder from the Lower East Side. Of Trey, right? Yeah.
No doubt.
The Billies. Let me see. You know, there's a few others. Electra. You had Leslie with the Green Eyes. You know, it wasn't that many.
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't that many. I'm probably leaving one or two people out, but that's the main people. I was close with Los at the time.
For sure.
I didn't really know SI at the time. You know, I was seeing him in intake.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Los I was close with because we used to go to court all the time on a red ID bus to Manhattan. To the Bronx.
For sure.
And Mel Murder,
What is the red ID bus for those that don't know?
Well, back then the red ID bus, it was like they had started this thing where they was putting cages in the bus. And if you had got caught with a weapon in jail, or if you cut somebody or something like that, you know, they would put you on a bus to go to court. So that way you wouldn't really have contact with another prisoner while on the bus.
For sure. Yeah, so 94, you and Los is tight.
Late 94, mainly 95.
95.
Because I got locked up in December of 94.
For sure.
That was like my first real, my first stretch in a real, I guess you could say, jail.
Right.
I did 14 months. So.
Yeah, no doubt. So at this time, what made you gravitate to the Damu Brotherhood?
Well, I didn't. I didn't gravitate to it at that time. No, I stayed away from it because at the time, you know, adolescence is a different environment than adults, right?
For sure.
So basically, I don't believe the rules and the other stuff that came along later was there at the time. So it was just basically gangster shit.
Right.
Right? So I didn't feel that, I didn't see the movement or what it became later on, or at least what I thought it became, that made me join, right? So I stayed away from it. I was just neutral. You know, I was on my gangster shit, trying to just basically adapt to being in this new environment.
For sure. So, what year did you finally say, you know what? I'm gonna get involved in this. I want to be a part of this now.
Right. Actually, let me just take you back a little bit, right? So in that same time, I was in 4 Main, right? When I turned adult, I went to 10 Lower. But back then in 4 Main, that was more like the Spanish house.
Okay.
Right? But it was mainly on the other side. And you had a north side, you had a south side.
Right.
Right? And the black guys was mainly 2 upper.
Okay.
Right? But you had other houses in the building, but those were the 2 cell sides that basically had beef with each other at certain points or whatever, right?
Right.
So Wildcat was there with me, but he wasn't Damu at the time.
Oh, D Wildcat.
D Wildcat, okay. And they had a guy by the name of M.O. Right? Melendez, I think his last name was. You know, he was a good guy.
No doubt.
And we built a pretty tight bond between us 3 at that time.
For sure.
You know, there was other guys in there that I built bonds with that wasn't, like I said, it was more Dominican, Latin King, you know, Nietas wasn't really there. They was there briefly in the beginning when I first got there, but, you know, certain incidents occurred and they was no longer there.
For sure.
And, yeah, so when I went home from that and I came back through, I was going to court, right? And obviously by then, the Damu situation is growing, right? So you hear more about it or whatever. And I was in a Bronx house at the time.
Right.
So, you know, by this time, Wildcat was a big dog already, you know, meaning that he was putting in work, he was ESU and all of that type of stuff. So when I went to court,
what is ESU?
ESU was, it was a group, and at the time they was the Turtles.
No doubt.
Or whatever, they had various names throughout, right? Matter of fact, I think it was ERU at the time, right? Not ESU yet, right? And so when I came to court, they was basically in a pen by themselves. It was him and a guy by the name of Ty Guns in the pen, who I didn't know at the time, right? I never met him to this day, right? And when I was walking by, I guess there was a dude that was on the bus with me, a Spanish guy, and he was, I guess, a play or something to the Damus.
Yeah.
So as I'm walking by, I see Wildcat, and I'm like, yo, Wildcat, what's up? So at first he didn't really recognize me, then he recognized me, and he basically told me, yo, that nigga in the pen, you know, da-da-da-da-da, you know, whatever. Right? So I didn't have no weapon at the time, so when I popped on him. Right? So I'm beating him up in the pen, you know, police come in the pen, and while I'm doing that, brothers start roll calling. Right? So it was the way the Bronx Supreme Court was set up. When you came in, you had to walk down on this side, and then the other side it was cells. It was like holding cells.
Right.
So in each cell, it's a bunch of people. Right?
Yeah.
And so like I said, they started roll calling, and in the middle of the fight, I'm like, you know, what the fuck is this?
Right.
The fuck is this roll call? So, you know, and then the police came, broke it up or whatever, you know, took me out, wherever they took me. I think back then they could take you to the 4th floor.
Now, before you continue saying roll call, you talking about the staff or the inmates?
The inmates. The prisoners. I don't use the term inmates. Yeah.
Part itself. The prisoners.
Right.
What was the roll call? What was that consisted of?
Yeah.
Was it a Damu roll call?
Yeah, it was a Damu roll call.
Oh, so they was hype when you was putting in that pen.
Well, that's what they did back then. You know, it was basically a war cry. That's what the roll call was. So, you know, anytime anybody put in work at any given moment, if any other homies was around, they would roll call.
For sure.
So it was almost like your soundtrack to the violence of the time.
For sure.
Right.
What a way to put that. Damn, that's deep. So what? So the turtles come in.
Right.
What happens after that? The cat,
Oh no, the turtles didn't come in for that.
in?
That was in court. They only show up when somebody get cut.
Oh, all right.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying they was transporting. If you was transported by ERU at the time, it was a certain status, right? So that meant that you had to put in a certain amount of work.
For sure.
So it separated you, from other prisoners who was putting in whatever, putting in their own work.
For sure.
So I just wanted to emphasize that because back then it was a difference. Now, not so much, but.
Right. So how did Cat and them feel about you putting in the pain on the enemy?
Well, I never got to speak to him about that because, like I said, we couldn't communicate. So, we couldn't communicate. So I didn't actually get to speak to him for a long time.
Right. Well, do you remember what sets were present around that time? I know you said it's about like 94, 95 ish right now.
No, this is 96.
This is 96 now.
Yeah, this is 96.
Okay, so
around July, August.
What blood sets did you know existed at that time?
Actually, I knew Nine-Trey,
right?
Obviously, right.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't necessarily know of what other sets was around at that time.
Right, no doubt, because you still in it. So you just trying to figure things out.
Yeah, because I'm still not Damu yet.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So after that, take me to what happens after that incident happens. Now you don't wash dude up.
Yeah, I go back to Bronx house, and MO's there.
MO, right.
But he's in the MO house, right? So I'm trying to get a gun from him because I just came back through, and that's just how the Rikers Island was. You didn't want to get caught without your joint.
No doubt.
Right? And he didn't have a gun for me though.
Right.
So I wound up getting into something there with some guys, and they sent me to West Facility. Now at the time, West Facility was like a soft spot.
Okay.
Right? And so I go there, and the Damus that are there is, you got a brother by the name of Dre Stone, right? You had a dude by the name of Mike Stone, right, from Edenwald. I knew him from the street, right?
Yeah.
And you had a brother named Bags from LG, and you had another brother named Al B from Staten Island, who's actually the person who originally brought me home.
No doubt.
Right.
No doubt. That's wild. And he brought you home there?
Yeah, he brought me there in West Facility.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, take me to that day, man. What happened? What transpired?
Well, a lot of things transpired up until that event, but just keeping it simple, I was supposed to be Nine-Trey because, like I said, me and Wildcat had a bond.
Right.
But it wasn't no Billies around me at the time. Right? So you only had the Stones and you had the one Sean.
No doubt.
Right? So Dre Stone was with me in the 4 building, but he wasn't blood at the time.
Now, before you continue, when you say they were Stones, because a lot of West Coast homies, they don't understand that even though some homies might claim that they're Bloodstone villains, they also call themselves Stones, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, at the time,
some people might say they might, confuse them for Black P Stone.
Right. Now there was BSV, Bloodstone Villain.
No doubt. No doubt. All right. So you said it was the BSVs and one Sean.
Yeah, it was one Sean.
That was a Sean at the time.
It was GKB.
GKB.
Right. Yeah,
No
Julius
doubt.
and Sonny.
No doubt. So Al B from Staten Island.
Al B from Staten Island.
Shout out to the guy.
Right.
So he was the one GK.
Yeah, he was the one that was GKB. Basically, he was older than me. He was locked up for half a bird or a bird or something. I think he had got caught on Wall Street or something.
Wow.
And you know, the other guys was young, and you know, like I say, he was older. You know, he was more relatable,
for sure,
if you will, right?
For sure.
And but what really happened in the crib, you know, was basically the same situation everywhere you go. You know, you got Latin Kings got a phone, you know, Muslims got a phone, and then at the time it was 3 phones, and then the third phone is usually whoever. It could be a neutral phone, it could be in the you know, whatever other group that's dominant it could be. So it was always an issue over a TV or over the phone.
For sure.
At that time. So I had wound up scratching a Muslim guy in the bathroom over the phone, right? And so I think Al B took a little liking to me after he seen that.
Yeah.
Right? And was encouraging me, if you will, to join Sean.
No doubt.
Right? So he oafed me in right after that, and you know, gave me what was called the planning at the time, right?
Right.
And it was like a 1 to 10 or something cold. Like, it wasn't really a lot that he had at the time.
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
And after that, I had cut 2 more guys, 2 Spanish guys. I don't even remember what it was over, but and then that's when I went to the box. So this is around 9/7, February, March.
Right.
So I ended up in 3 South, in OBCC, which was the box at the time.
For sure.
You know, when I got to 3 South, a lot of hitters, a lot of popular people was there. Robo, Just was there, Charlie Rock was there, I believe Larry O was there, Doggy Dog. You know, it was a lot of hitters. You know, 3 South was like one of the main houses in the box at that time.
No doubt.
And you know, I basically had a hard time because, you know, when you came to the box, you had to let it be known you was
with the shit.
Well, let it be known who you be.
Right.
That you, where you coming from, what set you repping, you know, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And me coming from West Facility wasn't necessarily a good look.
Right.
You know, especially
a relaxed house.
Right. You know, a relaxed prison, right?
Relaxed
that basically Latin Kings or whatever controlled, basically Nietas or whatever, right? And I didn't necessarily have a reputation at that time that any of the brothers knew about or whatever. So, you know, a lot of time what would happen is you come on the gate, you know, you say your name. If they knew who you were, you would get, you know, a response from the other brothers that was respectful. If they didn't know who you were, it'd be pretty quiet.
Right.
You know, they'll tell you to just come to the yard, and that's it. And you know, you go in the yard, you got to get on that chain, and that's going to determine, you know, how it's going to go for you.
For sure.
At the time.
Damn. That's crazy, man. So now, in this time, as you trying to figure out your way, you on the set, the brothers really don't know too much about you.
Right.
What was some of the tactics that you took on to build your name up?
Well, I didn't necessarily do things to build my name up. You know what I mean? I just was being myself.
No doubt.
Right? So when I went to the yard, like I said, Robo, actually I ended up in a cell next to Charlie Rock. And he asked me what paperwork I had, and when I sent it to him under the cell, like I said, I only had the planning, and I only and I had them codes 1 to 10.
Yeah.
I still ain't have my oath. I didn't have the other stuff. So he basically kept the paperwork and indebted me on it.
Oh, man.
Right? So I went to the yard the next day. He didn't come out, but Robo was there.
Right.
You know, and when I spoke to Robo and showed him my ticket that I had from cutting the 2 guys in West Facility, you know, he basically gave me a shot. And he didn't oath me in again, but he gave me the paperwork.
No doubt.
At the time that he had, and he was the one who basically gave me the paperwork.
Real G shit.
You know, so from there, you know, anytime you're going on visits, you're doing your thing, you know, that's another way people like you, right? Because they want to smoke, right?
True.
And it was just regular occurrences, you know. I didn't really have beef with anybody, so like I'm learning, right? So the way it was, if the search came and one guy got extracted, whoever cell they opened, you got to get extracted too.
Yeah.
If you ended up in a pen with a guy, you had to do your thing. If you seen a guy on a visit, you had to do your thing. If you seen him in the hallway walking by, you cuff, whatever, you got to do your thing. That's just how it was. So there was a few incidences of just regular, you know, kicking people while you got leg shackles on or headbutts and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I went back to population after that.
Damn. So, did you ever get to meet OG Mac?
No.
Nah. And at this time, did you ever get word from him? Or hear of anybody getting word from him that was around you?
Oh yeah, everybody used to talk about it.
No doubt.
You know.
Well, I mean, you know, like getting, like, you know, like a message.
Him riding kites?
Yeah.
Well, I can't really. The name, there was 2 names that was on Rikers Island at the time, or at least that had just left or something, that we used to hear about the most, and that was Deadeye and a guy by the name of Shot 120.
No doubt.
And I think at that time he was already a deal or something. He already, you know, had made some mistakes. And
Right.
then you had the name of Shaquell, which was a popular name at that time.
Absolutely. No doubt. So, now, still in 96.
But we in 97 now.
97.
Right.
We're in 97 now. Is the set hitting the streets yet? Did you know of anything?
I think, yeah, it definitely hit the streets already, because by 9/7, I think the first Sean conspiracy, which was a state case, I think that involved Smooth and Jigga and these guys. They was like pimping and stuff on 42nd Street and, you know, doing a bunch of activity down there. I believe that's when they caught their first indictment. I think it was a Sean indictment that was the first one.
Wow.
That was 9/7.
97. When you say Jigga, you ain't talking about Jay-Z.
No, no, not Jay-Z.
You
But,
know how some of these
Yeah, there was a guy by the name of Jigga.
No doubt. No doubt. And that's crazy. That was his name back then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
9/7.
No
I think so,
doubt.
right? I don't know. I think it was.
So who was, other than the guys that you named, who were some of the originals of GKB
that I was around?
that you was around or that you knew of, that you heard about it? You know,
Well, you know, once you get the paperwork, you see the names. You know,
Right.
by those times, a lot of the originators was up north,
Right.
right? So I didn't get the chance to meet them until later on down the line, right?
Did
But the
you
ones
meet
that was,
Shaquell?
no, I didn't know Shaquell at the time, but he was the most popular.
No doubt.
You know, but the guys that was around me at the time would be Cormega and Rob Lowe.
Cormega and Rob Lowe.
Right.
No doubt. The names, yeah, you knew of those names for a while. Where's these guys from? Cormega, the Cormega's from Queens?
Yeah, I think he's from Queens.
No doubt. Rob Lowe.
He's from the Bronx.
No doubt. Yes, sir. Now, a lot of people would say that the Bloods in New York City brought a lot of destruction, which may have been true, but it also brought forth a lot of unity. You agree? Brought a lot of unity because a lot of boroughs with beef. Right.
It definitely brought unity.
Right.
You know, it definitely brought that, because like you pointed out, you know, when I first came to jail, it was borough. Right, from the Bronx. Bronx was usually Bronx versus Brooklyn. Right, and Queens, you know, got in where they fit in. You know, Manhattan got in where they fit in, and you know, Staten.
So, you know, Queens would do their own thing, and Staten Island. What about Staten Island?
But what I mean by that is, you always had guys that were official from these boroughs.
Right.
But it just seemed that more people was arrested from Brooklyn than it was than any other borough, and then the second most people it seemed to be locked up was from the Bronx.
True.
So when you went to prison, it was always more people from Brooklyn and the Bronx than it was from any other borough. That's how it seemed at that time.
For sure.
Right?
No doubt. So you hear GKB hitting the streets, Trey is on the streets. All you know.
Well, by that time, everything is on the streets.
Everything is on the streets. Everything that was created from from 97 and ahead.
96, 90. Right. You know, the sets that I remember, I think you had Gangsta Miller Blood. I think that was an Up North set. Right, you had 5'9" Brim. That was an Up North set. But they was pretty popular on Rikers Island when I was there.
Yeah.
Gangsta Miller, not so much. You got Bloodstone Villain, 1A Trey, Sex Money Murder, right now Trey, GKB. I think you had Mad Dog, Blood.
Right. Mad Stone.
And you had Mad Stone.
Valentine.
At the time, and they definitely had Shaolin shit, yeah, Valentine. I think those are the ones that I remember.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. That's what Code Red taught me.
Right.
But
well, he would know better than me, but
you definitely you know the shit. You definitely know the shit. I think back now, we in 97 and the streets is already being flooded with Damus. How was y'all feeling about that? Being that y'all was putting this pain inside, how did y'all feel about it hitting the streets and how, you know, dudes is wilding in the streets?
Right. Well, I can't really speak for everybody, right? But I could speak for myself and those around me. And we didn't really like it, to be honest, right? Because the publicity, which now we can look back on and we know how the media does, right? But it just appeared that the people that was claiming it were acting in a way in the street towards people that didn't deserve what was happening to them.
Facts.
Right? And another part of that we didn't like is that when any of those brothers who had joined in the street, it seemed like when they came through, they didn't know anything. Right? They didn't know any oaths, they didn't know their history, they didn't know lineups, you know, they just didn't know anything.
Right.
And with that, and at that point, you know, it was, if you got caught like that, you was in pretty much big trouble.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yes,
so it created a wave of a lot of brothers getting arrested and getting hurt by other brothers and probably not even really understanding why.
True indeed. True indeed.
So it caused a terrible imbalance on Rikers Island in 97 behind that.
Damn. Yeah, man, because, you know, Uncle Shaquell said the same thing, you know, y'all wasn't pleased with what y'all heard about, you know, the innocent people getting, you know, cut up and all that. You know, of course I wasn't, you know, too big on that neither, because I just always knew as the Bloods, as a brotherhood,
right,
as a family outside of your family, you know, or your main family for those that didn't have a family at all.
Right.
You know, so to hear, you know, innocent people become a victim, I also believe that those were cowardly acts and whatnot. And I'm glad to know that the higher ups, y'all original guys, weren't pushing that line to say, yo, go do that. That basically them dudes did that on their own.
Right.
And they felt the wrath for it.
Well, basically what happened is, to my understanding is, brothers was going home and they were impersonating the real leaders, right? So they was false claiming their names, right?
Well,
and then you had other brothers who were saying that they had positions given to them by real leaders, right? And so they was manipulating various neighborhoods, you know, starting off in New York and then going to Jersey and other states on the East Coast,
right,
bringing people in without permission, without the proper protocol, et cetera,
right.
you know, so that was a big problem.
Wow. So what year was it when you first heard of the Bloods hitting New Jersey?
Actually, I could freestyle it. I couldn't recall.
Right.
But I'm sure around the same time.
Around the same time.
Right, because Jersey and New York is like the same thing.
No doubt.
Right, so
40 minutes
you're talking about Philly, or you know, the immediate New York circumference. I mean, takes 5 minutes to go from New York to New Jersey. Right.
Facts.
So I'm sure. You know, and you got to think about it, and that depends on if we talk about Sean or if we talk about the whole Damu situation, right? Because you had other sets that came before 9-6. So
absolutely.
You talk about 9-3, you know, by 9-7, that's 4 years past. So
True,
definitely he's already in New Jersey.
Facts,
but as far as me hearing about it, you know, I can't really recall when I first heard about it.
Facts of life.
Right.
No doubt. So, you know, a lot of people want to get into the juicy stuff, man,
right.
Juicy shit. Now, when you think of all these interviews that you've seen so far, which one do you consider the least accurate?
The least accurate?
Not even trying to diss, but like just really, which one was you feel was the least accurate? You don't have to answer it, but it's like, you know.
Well, here's what I'll say to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the one to really ask because there's a few years that I'm missing, right?
Sure.
So even though I was in the 4 building in 94 and 95 and I'm around certain people, right, I don't really know what's going on, right? And I'm an adolescent, right? So, you know, if I don't see it, you know, I go to court, I hear it, but, you know, that's hearsay, right?
No doubt.
So anything prior to that, I wouldn't be the one to say what was false or true or what actually, you know, what occurred.
Okay.
Right?
That's respectful.
But I've heard some interviews where I've seen brothers lie.
Yeah.
Be it what position they held today or yesterday.
Right.
Or tried to paint themselves in a light of respectability where at some point in their career they did things that got themselves faded or shot or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I've heard a lot of fibbing going on with those type of things.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I mean, I've heard people say they shot 8 people in the pen.
Yeah.
20 people after they got shot.
Yeah.
You know, and these are stories that I'm not going to say didn't happen. No. I didn't hear about them happening when I was around back then. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not the one to talk about what happened before me.
I feel you.
You know, but I don't know. But those are some amazing stories.
I feel you. Now, now we say GKB. What year was it when people started using AKA G-Sean?
I believe Cormega came up with that.
Cormega.
Yeah, I believe he came up with that.
Now, when they say cool nigga, you know we automatically
Not the rapper.
Queensbridge.
Yeah, not the rapper.
No doubt. Let's clear that
Not
up
the
for the people so they know. Shout out to Mega.
Right.
Both Mega, as a matter of fact. Shout out to both of you.
Yeah, shout out to both.
Word.
The rapper was a good rapper.
So you think so Mega came up with G
Yeah, I believe he's the one who came up with it.
Wow.
And
you know what was the reason?
I do not know what the reason was, but it came a point where there was certain politics going on in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Where there was change. There was a change in leadership going on due to certain events, and I believe that's when you get a refreshing of certain names.
Right.
Right? Certain things like that.
Okay. So, Mega came up with the G-Shine. When does it become an acronym?
I would have to say it's a full-fledged acronym between 99 and 01.
No doubt. 99 and 01, that's exactly around the time I remember as well.
Right.
Exactly. I want to say probably like around October, right?
I couldn't give a specific date,
right,
because
I had my wife's birthday October 21st. That was marked on my little calendar, but like you said, you could definitely be wrong.
Because here's what happens, right? What happens is people say stuff where it's not official, but if it's catchy and if it's cool, it could catch fire.
Fact.
Right? And people will go around saying it, and it's not necessarily official.
Right.
Until the man at the top makes it official. Right? So, you have a time where people are saying it, or they're saying both. Right? They're saying Julius and Sonny, and they're saying G-Shine. And then you have a point where the guy makes it official. So I can't really tell you the difference.
True.
Between when people are saying it and when you see it on the paperwork for the first time. Without Julius and Sonny. Right? So that's why I say between 99 to around 01.
Right.
And you may even have to stretch it to 02 because the paperwork, the reconstruction paperwork didn't come out to the late 01, 02.
Right.
Right? So I think that might be the first time that you actually see G-Shine on paperwork.
For sure.
Right? So like I just give it that 2-year time frame.
No doubt, man. Getting that good knowledge and soaking that up.
Right.
Well, so who were some of the pillars of G-Shine, including yourself?
I mean, when you say a pillar, I mean, what do you mean? Originators? Like,
well,
people,
I mean,
what do you
the guys
mean?
that stood out the most in your eyes.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Too many to mention. Too many to mention, and the reason being is because GKB was a family that populated at a time almost the whole thing. Right. So you had more people claiming that family almost than any other family.
Right.
Right? So when you heard of things occurring wherever they occurred at, most of the people doing the acts were a part of GKB.
For sure.
You had others, but it was so many, it's too many to really name, other than the obvious that you've already heard.
Right.
But the guys I was around at the time.
Yeah, we need some names, man.
I could say you had guys like Mikey B. Right? Guys like Shell Murder. right? Guys like Boo Blood, rest in peace, from Queens,
Yeah.
right? You know, other than Rob Lowe and Core Mega, you know, let me see if I could think of some other. You had, you know, guys like Black O'Macko,
Right.
right?
What kind of guy was Black O'Macko, man?
I mean, I love Black O'Macko. You know, I look at him as the guy who really recognized my talent, if you will, right? But if I had to say something about him overall, I would say he taught me forgiveness. Because before I met him, I had none.
Right.
And I seen him forgive people that I wouldn't have forgave for the acts that they committed.
Right.
Right? So I would say he was a very humble person.
No doubt.
At least when I was around.
No doubt. About Robo Just.
Man. Normally I would pass on that
No
because
doubt.
he's returned to the essence.
Yes, sir.
But what I would say about Robo is I would say how he was with me.
No
That's
doubt.
what I'll do.
No doubt.
Right? I won't talk about how he was with other people, right?
For sure.
I would say he was about his money. I don't recall him in the streets or in the in prison playing around with people, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, I heard stories about him being a boxer or something like that.
Right.
Right? And to me, he was a good dude.
Right.
Right? As far as how he treated me.
Yeah.
Right? In the relationship we had, you know, I just wished that when we was in the street together, he would have believed in my vision and we could have connected and united the family at that point.
No
You know?
doubt. What was your introduction to Shaquell?
Well, actually, what do you mean? Physically?
Yeah,
I mean,
physically.
I just met Shaquell
No doubt.
recently.
But as far as, you know, let's go back to you hearing about him. I know, of course, he's one of the founders, of course. Now, other than him, we have the other two wings, which is Mr. Noble B, Corbin King, salute,
Okay.
and Mr. Pimp,
Okay.
salute. For the most part, you know, Pimp is receiving a lot of backlash, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Over a few things, and if you could say anything good about Pimp, what would it be?
Well, actually, I don't know Pimp. I've never met him.
Mm.
We've never seen each other. I mean, you know, at one point his name was popular. You know, when they spoke his name, it was respect with it.
Right.
And then there comes a point where some incidences occurred or supposedly occurred, and he was penalized for it. Right? I wasn't there.
Right.
Right? So I don't know exactly what was true and what wasn't true. I just know, like I said, he was penalized. And later on down the line, and I think this may be somewhere around 99-ish, somewhere around that time, 98-ish.
Yeah.
You know? And that's it. But I don't have any personal stories.
No doubt.
Or things that I've seen
I do.
firsthand. But when I was in the 3 building, you know, I did hear he was in a house he wasn't supposed to be in. You know, so that's the only thing personal that I recall.
All right. Well, you know, as far as as he goes, you know what I'm saying? I could definitely say he went out his way to come check me and gave me the time of day to interview him, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna never forget that, you know what I mean? And I ain't gonna ever forget that he is a founder of, you know.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that interview. Yeah. And in the interview, he said he refused the house. Like, he told the police he didn't want to go in the house. So, you know, I don't understand that type of language. And, you know, but if you go over your footage, he said, you know, in the video that he told the CO he didn't want to go in the house. So
what house is that? What are you talking about?
On Pip.
I know you talking about Pip, but you said he didn't want to go in the house.
Yeah,
I gotta watch it. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he said something about he went to a house and there was a lot of enemies in the house, and that he couldn't get his gun out.
He tried to shit it out.
Yeah, he couldn't shit it out or something. That he had told his CO, you know, that he didn't really want to go in the house.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he, you know, I think he something about he went in the house and then somebody snuffed him, and then he got busy, and then on his way out he told the CO, I told you or something. Yeah, something like that.
Shit on his hands and all.
You know, right, and he touched the CO, right. So, you know,
that nigga's burned
I don't really understand that.
Yeah.
But he said that out of his own mouth, so.
Right,
you know.
Right. Hey, man, it is what it is.
We all have our own journey.
Facts of life. You know what I mean? That's definite. So when you go back to the Bronx now, when did you hit the streets? After
I came home 01.
01? G-Shot is already full throttle on the streets.
Yeah, it's
what areas of the Bronx were we located at?
Everywhere.
Everywhere?
Yeah, because in the Bronx, you didn't really have, it wasn't like Brooklyn, right? So in Brooklyn, you might have had a neighborhood or two that was one whole family in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Right? But throughout the rest of the city,
scattered,
you know, it was whatever set, right? Because at this point, everybody's under the same nation.
Yeah.
So you don't really have the separation
right,
or the so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What crew you down with, everybody's under this one nation.
True indeed.
So it doesn't really matter.
No doubt.
They can all work in harmony.
No doubt. So a lot of people wonder, you know, I always wanted to know about Deadeye, because I know he played a major part in helping OG Mac get this thing started. What year did it become officially United UBN? You know, United Blood Nation.
GKB?
No, I mean just the whole.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay,
when I joined, it was already
no
United
doubt,
Blood Nation.
no doubt.
But
so,
I would say from the beginning, though.
No doubt. Now, this the thing. Also, like I said, people want to know what kind of guy Deadeye was. Did you hear anything about him? You knew of him? Or?
Yeah, we heard about Deadeye a lot, actually.
No
and
doubt.
The stories we heard, he was a wild boy.
Yeah.
You know, one of the wildest.
For sure.
At the time. You know, I didn't actually speak with him until I was in 5 Points, and I went to the box, and he was in the box, and we had a few words, but at that point, I don't think he was the same Deadeye. You know, he was calling himself Dark Vader, and I think he kind of had some mental issues going on at that point.
Oh shit!
Right, so I couldn't get any information from him at that time. Wow. And this is 2005.
Yeah, you know, I don't really hear anything about him, you know what I'm saying, anymore. And I don't know if he had passed away or what, but you know,
I think he's still up north.
Shit. That's wild, man. Any close comrades still, you know, incarcerated? I mean, you know, locked up right now?
Oh, I got a lot of incarcerated locked up.
Yeah.
A lot of my buddies.
No doubt.
You know,
man.
locked up all over the place.
No doubt, man. Well, I can't be selfish and tell you, you know, shout someone out. We be here all day, right? You don't want to leave nobody out.
I mean, you got my brother Guns, right? He's in the feds.
Salute.
Right? You know, you got my brother Nuke. He's in the feds. Salute. Unfortunately, right?
Right.
You know, you got Pistol Pete, right? He been in the feds forever.
Yeah.
Right? You got my brother Rated R, Ronell Wilson, he's in the feds. You know, he was on death row. I think they commuted his death row sentence. Right? You got Rod Diggs, right? He's in the feds. Right? You know, you got Magoo. Right, he's another one in the feds. Right, you know, in the state, you got Wayno. Right, you got let me see, you got Remo. You got my brother Jungle. You know, it's so many.
No doubt.
You know, I believe Mikey B.
For sure.
Came home. Let me see. There's so many, man.
No doubt, man. And everybody been asking as well to get Tankhead down here, man. Did you ever get to meet Tankhead?
No.
No? Oh, no doubt. What about Ring Dog?
No, I didn't meet him.
Nah, Ring Dog probably passed away a little. But you probably was still in when you passed away, right?
Yeah, we just never bumped heads. I mean, I know the name.
For sure, for sure. Hey, man, I heard you be spitting, though. And you got that fire. How you know? I know you was in your first introduction in the music. You know, the Furious Five and all that.
Right. So,
nowadays, up to date, one of your favorite MCs?
Well, I got MCs for different purposes, right? So if I'm on ignorant time, right? I got my rappers for that, and then if I'm on my conscious political time, you know, I got my rappers for that, right? So rappers that's out today that I actually like, that would have to be like J. Cole. Right, Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
Right. I like Young M.A.
Okay.
I think she could spit.
All
right. You know, I like Remy, of course.
No doubt.
You know, Joe still. I like a lot of the old school.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Dudes I grew up with, who I have memories of my life or certain things I could relate to a certain song.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever to it. But as far as new rappers, Meek Mill.
Right.
I like the kid, the baby, I think his name is, out of North Carolina.
No doubt.
I think he got a flow. He reminds me of T.I.
Sure.
Right, and you know, it's a few independent artists. You know, I like Ricky Batts. I like what he's doing coming out the Bronx.
No doubt.
But I liked Fred the Godson.
Oh yeah,
before he passed away.
Yeah.
You know, we was actually supposed to do a song together, but I got locked up.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
you got the bars, man. Let me let the people get some of that though. You know what I mean? You can't be stingy with your talents. You gotta give us a quick few bars, man.
All right, I'll tell you a story. This is the first rap I ever wrote down in 1996.
Oh shit!
I got a whole hip hop history we could go into if you're interested, but I'll start there, right?
Yeah.
The feds intact in threes. Polo shot the Mac with ease. I had two bitches on the lookout. One was Japanese in the shootout. The other one was Portuguese. They had her on her knees yelling, but she ain't telling. My Mac steady killing these feds in black suits. Out for my crack loop trying to split. I hit the back route through the basement. Semi-trap thirsty to blaze shit with 2 extra clips. If it moves, I'm wetting it. Then I felt the wind blow. Thinking it had to be a window, I began to tiptoe. Changed the clip, put it in slow. Finally found the window. It led to the garage where I kept my benzo. And my tents was in the glow. It was war. Now knowing that one was in my car, he he attacked from the blind side and left me with a scar under my eyelash. See my life flash, I might last. Had to stay strong, face leaking, but the pain's gone. Pull my burner, thought Nat Turner. Got my aim on, now dead behind me. I took him for a secret agent ID. Myself and fed body, now they want me dead probably. Using my head wisely, took his clothes to disguise me. Like the professional, thinking that it couldn't hide me. But I got a way to live another day. Now I'm on a run, gotta find a play to lay. Spent a little cash to change my whole getup. I'm watching everything to avoid the fucking setup. Ready to touch something, I can't trust nothing. Thought I had a strong click and wasn't nobody frontin' till I see my face. My cover's blown in a crazy place. 3 shots left on my gun, though my son is laced for lifetime. I know the feds want me dead, baby mom's riffing. My right hand man was snitching. To think I took him from a life of hand-to-hand pitching. Trigger finger itching, money missing out my blown in a crazy place. 3 shots left on my gun, though my son is laced for lifetime. Damn, I started.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
For lifetime, I know the feds want me dead. Baby mom's riffing. My right hand man was snitching. To think I took him from a life of hand-to-hand pitching. Trigger figure itching, money missing out my profit. Wasn't even hired, running posters through the projects. Made it to the crib, where the hell is my kid and wife? Visualizing what I did, facing a bid for life. This ain't for low. I tried to blow for the love of money. The fast life won me cause the ghetto had me hungry. Smoking pounds of Campbell had me wildin' like Rambo when he's back. This way I scramble. Time to re-up on my ammo. Now I'm flexing low. Stop to fill my tank down in Texaco. Trees blazing. D's chasing me to Mexico. I hit the border. Got my dope making a slaughter. They put a hex on low, but if so, then my text will blow forever low. Living with some precious hoes, sexing those Mexicano and Chicano, speaking Espanol on some Desperado, El Dorado red till I smelled the feds. They was watching me, thinking I ain't noticed. I kept focused on with 2 toasters, but didn't move. I played it smooth as I counted 12 dudes, thinking it's time for me to hold court without blinking. I started firing shots, retiring cops. Didn't stop even though my iron was hot. Ain't no flying the spot living. Bullets hitting and some missing. I'm dying on the spot in the fucked up position, feeling no pain. Shots hitting, having me numb like cocaine. Still firing my gun with no aim. It's no doubt I went all out, now I'm out the drug game, nigga.
Ooh.
So that was the first rhyme I wrote.
Damn, that's the first one.
Yeah.
Shit, that's fire.
Good
Let me tell you something, man. First rhyme I wrote was trash. I don't even remember that shit. I was writing rhymes, started writing rhymes 7 years old. I didn't like my rhymes till I was 16.
Right.
That could be your first rap. And I heard your new shit. We gotta work, we gotta do something together.
Appreciate you, but I actually have a musical background. So
explain more about that. What does that consist of?
All right, so basically I'm from Allerton Avenue, right?
BX. All day, uptown. Baby.
So where I'm from, that's where the old skate key was at.
Okay.
Right? So people that come out of my neighborhood, you got Super Mario, who was with Bad Boy and with D Block. You got Chuck Bone, who was with Uptown and Motown and Bad Boy and all of that.
Right.
Right? Christopher Williams used to be on my block. Stacey Dash used to be on my block. And there's others, right, that used to be in my neighborhood. So I've been rhyming a long time, and Chuck Bone was the real person that was trying to put me on. But I used to freestyle, I used to come off the head. Excuse me, so I was real good at that.
No doubt.
And they, you know, the older guys would have me battle guys at the skate key every week.
For sure.
And I never lost. But, you know, I was too in love with the street life to take it serious. I didn't really see the money. I mean, I knew it was money, but at the time seemed like it was more money in the streets.
No doubt.
Right? So, you know, I didn't take it seriously, so that's why I didn't really start writing until 1996.
Right.
Prior to that, I would just freestyle off my head, but it was good enough, right? Because I would be able to look at you, talk about what you got on, you know, the environment around me on the spot.
That's talent.
You know, I was that good at that time, you know.
Still good, my G.
Appreciate
Still
you.
good. Like I'm telling you, we got to do something. I'm dead serious. No Hollywood talk. we're gonna put something together, man.
I ain't got a problem with that.
I deal with lyrics. I deal with substance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, right now you gotta change with the times. Code Red always told me, nobody wanna hear that old shit, man. You know what I'm saying? He always get me, but he motivate me. You don't even know how much he motivate me to keep going, because I'm not gonna switch my shit for nobody. Right. I might give a one or two, you know, joints that keep up with today's day, but at one point in time they said Gucci was played out, Fendi was played out,
right.
MCM was played out. Guess what? All that shit came right back. You understand?
Right.
So why switch my flow if this shit is gonna come right back? Everybody, this shit ain't going nowhere. You see them Griselda boys, how you feel about them? You like the Griselda boys, that movement they got going on?
I've heard them on a few tracks, and I like it. See me?
They lit a fire under my ass. They made me pick that pen back up.
I would have to do a little bit more research on those brothers to see, you know, what they really got going on in total. But
you gonna love them. Shout out to West Side Gun, Conway the Machine, and Benny the Butcher, man.
Right. Yeah. Shout out to any brothers putting working out here, you know, in a positive way. As far as what you say, he said, Quell said to you, right? I agree and I disagree, right? So you have to find what's good for you.
That's
right.
Fact.
So obviously, if nobody's listening to you, then you're doing it wrong.
Doing it wrong,
right? If they listening to you, then you're doing it right, right? So that could be an old school flow,
right,
or it could be a new school flow.
True. What I did was pull them, use they new strategy to pull them towards me.
Okay.
So I'll do some drill. Yeah, I could do the drill, but once you get the drill, you think my whole shit is gonna be full of drill. You're gonna hear something else that, you know what, I do like this. I like this right here. You know what I'm saying? How you feel about the drill music?
I mean, I like it because I lived it so many years ago. In my older age, I don't really like it.
No doubt.
Because who are we drilling?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you know, if we could just change who we was drilling and rhyme about that, then the song will probably be better.
No doubt.
The drill.
Facts.
You know, but I don't know. I don't know how to necessarily dance, if people even still dance today, to a person killing 100 people in a song. I don't really know if you're supposed to dance to that.
Hey, I'll put it like this, right? Nowadays, to me, all my lyrics ain't shit that I did. It could be something I heard or somebody next to me that I just sponged it up and it sound good. I like making audio films.
Okay.
We ain't no different from Schwarzenegger.
I agree.
You feel me? The Terminator, he come out and he wet 100%. Shit up. But you know what I'm saying? That's not his real life at the end of the day.
100%.
You know what I mean? So, how you feel about film? I love film, by the way. How do you feel about movies and stuff like that? Would you ever get into that in the future?
Yes, I would. And, you know, I just have to get myself in the mind state into that. It's funny you should ask that. Let me tell you a little bit about my childhood pre-criminality.
No doubt.
Right? So in elementary school, I was a gymnast.
Oh, word?
Yeah. I actually made it to a junior high school in Harlem called Harbor School of the Arts off my gymnastic abilities.
Look at that shit.
But my behavioral problems didn't allow me to prosper in that school.
For sure.
Right? I played the clarinet, the drums, the bells, and the flute.
Wow.
Right? And I'm not saying I was an expert. I'm just saying I played these instruments.
For sure.
Right? I could draw, and I was rapping. So in my school, every play that they had from about 3rd grade up to 6th grade, or maybe even 2nd grade, I was in it.
No doubt.
And that was the start of it, because I could flip and tumble and do all of that. That's what we called it back then. You know, and I had to act in the plays, Hansel and Gretel, you know, all of the stuff the kids do.
Yeah.
I was the male star in mostly all of them.
For sure.
Right. So
that's big. You gonna mess a lot of people up with that one.
Yeah.
Word.
And I actually didn't get full-fledged. Like when I mentioned earlier about Julio and being 9 years old, that didn't last long.
Right.
You know, because I think it was working on his conscience a little while, and then like I say, he got killed around 88.
Wow.
Right, over his gold chain when they came out with the self-destruction song.
Yeah.
So from about 88 to 90, I wasn't selling drugs. You know, I would do little robberies, little stupid stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in 89, I got hit by a car.
Oh shit.
And
when was that?
You said where I was at?
Yeah.
Actually, I had a job. I used to deliver food for a supermarket, right? And the money we made was tips,
right,
or whatever. And I was around 12, 13 years, definitely 13. I just turned 13, right? So I was doing that, and when I was carrying the boxes, a car hit me, fractured my leg. So you know that killed my gymnastic career. Anyway, if I even wanted to pursue that, and that killed my basketball career as far as jumping.
Damn.
Right? So my hops was gone, and that was gone. And it made me look at life with a little bit more hatred, and that's really when I got full-fledged into the criminal world.
No doubt. Which also led up to you joining a quote-unquote gang.
Right.
Now, for the time, well, as far as I know, is today you have retired.
Correct.
When did you decide that, you know what, it's time for me to step down and, you know, and get this thing up? What honestly pushed you to that point?
Well, I've had moments.
Right.
Right. It's an accumulation of many moments. The first moment was actually in the beginning, because in 9/7 I heard that Mac was a rapper, and it was whispers about it. Nobody would really talk about it because obviously he was OG Mac.
Right.
Right. So the people who were whispering about it, I assume they were whispering because they couldn't prove it.
True.
Right? But they had heard it. So if you was trustworthy, they were whispering.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, it kind of messed me up. But, you know, and then another problem I had in 9/7 was I had seen some paperwork that was being passed around that was called Gangland USA. And I had a girl that had brought me a book called The Uprising.
1992.
Correct.
And that's the day that I took my oath, April 29th. You know, later on in the years, but yeah, but I know exactly you talking about Sister with
Sister Shaquell, and it was somebody, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I read that book, it was conflicting to me. Because at the time, it was being promoted as T. Rogers was like the guy.
Right.
In just blood, period, in the country.
Facts.
And T. Rogers happened to be in the book. And the history that was being passed around, not New York history, but just
worldwide,
the entire history didn't really align with what he was saying in the book, and I had questions about it that I wasn't around, I guess, the right people to give me the proper answers.
Yeah.
So that was my first, so it's almost like in 9/7 it was love and hate.
Bittersweet.
For me. Because it was a little bit of confusion and then it was a little bit of love. The next time that I was considering it was 9/9, when, as I'm sure you in the world has heard, Mac was revealed as a snitch, and that he had told on somebody in 88 or 89 or something like that, before he was so-called blood or whatever.
Right.
And it was almost like in that one thing, the UBN was destroyed. So it was, and what I mean by that is, it was like, you know, you had guys choosing sides.
Yeah.
Right? You had guys saying paperwork is fake. You had guys saying, why you didn't say that when he was in prison? Now he's in the street. Right? You had guys getting shot behind saying it if they didn't have the paperwork, right? Because a lot of people had love for Mac.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is a guy where he can say something and nobody's going to question it.
Right.
They just going to go.
Right.
Right? And because of that, I think you had some leaders who used that time as an opportunity to assert themselves in higher positions than they already had.
Right.
So for a period, you had a lot of confusion going on. Who was now going to control things? The guys, some guys' names who came up, other guys had problems with those guys, didn't want to deal with those guys, and then that's when you start seeing separations, certain families saying, well, I don't want to be down with this, and I'm not, you know, and then off to the races.
Right.
With what you see today.
No doubt. Shit.
So I had moments.
You had moments. The straw that broke the camel's back, though.
What happened with me was I spent a lot of time in prison fighting cases. So what that means is I was in and out of prison, right? I didn't catch a long bid and just stay up there for long periods of time. I was back and forth from inside and outside.
No doubt.
For about 18 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So altogether I did around 18 years, if you add it all up.
Damn.
So I was trying to come from being that my leadership came with a newer generation. I was trying to more change the mentality of the brothers in the families.
For sure.
And a lot of my constituents had problems with changing things. Right? So it came a point, more specifically with GKB, where there were multiple leaders in GKB, and let's just say I read a kite where the person who had it before Powerful wrote Powerful a letter saying that he had it. And then there was another kite that the same person wrote saying that Powerful, Hamo, and Mad B had it. And that I was supposed to be given like a say-so, but not high rank as those guys.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where you get the Four Hearts, if you remember that. It was a time where the leadership was the Four Hearts, and that consisted of 4 people. And when I went home, well, the 4 people would be myself, Mad B, Hamo, and Powerful.
No doubt.
And when I went home, some things transpired between Powerful, Hamo, and Mad B that I didn't understand, and it looked as if Hamo and Mad B was getting done a disservice. And I wasn't up there, so I couldn't really help,
Right.
if you will.
Right.
Even if I could help.
Right.
Right? And that set off me being ready to retire. And the reason why I stayed was because at the time I had met so many good brothers. I didn't meet too many good sisters. Actually, I didn't really meet a lot of sisters until later on, but I was around so many good brothers that loved it, and they believed in me, that I felt like if I would have left, it would have been more like abandonment, right? So from that point on, it was more about the people around me, or the people that was under me, more so than myself.
For sure.
You know, and I was a studious brother, you know, I did a lot of studying, and when I meet people, they will always look at me like, why am I down with this?
Right.
I have so much potential to do other things than what I was doing. Which wasn't necessarily based on Damu, it was just based on the criminal mind that I had before Damu, right?
Facts.
So, you know, it wasn't just why you down with them, it's just why you still doing crime and all of that when you can do music and you know this person and that person and you have a business, you know, whatever, right? So it wasn't until I sat my inner circle down, well, it's two parts, right? So you have a shine part where it gets to a point where I leave shine. And I have another family under the U. And
what year was this when you left Sean?
I'd rather not say a specific year.
All right.
But let's just say between 5 and 10 years ago.
All right.
All right?
All right.
So, so I have two parts.
Okay.
Right? So the first part, the reason why I left Shine is because I felt like Shine was unfixable. Right? And when you're a leader, it's like you're an owner of a business, right? If your business is failing, it's your fault. You can't say it's the employee's fault. You can't say it's the management fault, right? Because you're expected to fire them, right? But in the lifestyle we live, at least how I believed in my mind, when you get rid of people, they have to die, right? This is how the rules of the street as a kid was told to me. And especially in Damu, right? When you kick people out the whip, unlike how it's done today, where they just tell people you're not down, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't really like telling people that they was out the whip because these people won't go and make it home to their family.
True.
Right? And this is mainly in the street, right? Because in prison, as far as New York State prison, you've had people that were killed, but it wasn't necessarily normal. People get cut and stabbed more so in the prison systems than, right, the street when they do wrong stuff, right? So the guy that was a leader with me at the time, because I didn't really have it by myself at no time, I felt like he was a snitch, and he was trying to set me up, and he was in the feds at the time, right? And not only that, he was giving people positions, and he wasn't the only one, but he was giving people positions in the street that I never heard of, that I felt like the work that they put in didn't match the position that they got. And, you know, some of these guys were guys that would cut you in prison, or they made a name for themselves in prison, but in the streets, they was nobody. And what I mean by nobody, because everybody's somebody,
Yeah.
I mean, in the criminal world, it's tough when you're an OG, but then you taking packs.
True.
Or you're a leader in an organization that is supposed to be tough or the toughest, but in your own neighborhood, you don't run it or control it. There are neutral people or people from other gangs that you have to go to for permission to make money in your neighborhood, right? So to me, I don't see how you can be an OG like that.
Right.
And this caused great conflict for me on the street. So it's nothing but separation. So I came to a point where I felt like in order to fix GKB, I would have to commit so much heinous crimes that I knew where my life was going to go. I was going to end up on death row, or I'll be in 80X Florence Max with the rest of the brothers that's there. And that wasn't a good future. I didn't see myself, you know, I didn't want to be in those shoes.
No doubt.
Right? So this where I have another family. And me and this family, we've got so close that I think the rules of the family got blurred.
What family was this?
I'd rather not say the name.
Say no more.
Right?
And so the rules got
Because
rules
I don't know what they're into today,
no
or
doubt.
what they got going on, or whatever, but I left.
No doubt.
Right? And like I said, the lines got a little blurred.
Mm-hmm.
So one day I had a meeting, and I just said, I asked everybody their oath, and this is about 20, 30 people, and nobody knew their oath, you know? And there was one guy who knew the oath, and he drove up from Florida, I believe, with his 2 sons in the car to meet me. Stuff that some brothers have even told me they would never do. And at that moment, that was the end for me. Because in my era, if you didn't know your oath, me and you supposed to have a conflict.
No doubt.
And like I said, the lines were blurred at this point because we love each other, right? We've intertwined our families, right? We've broke bread together. We did things positive, whatever, right?
Right.
And there's no violent road I'm going to take there either, right? So it was over for me at that time.
No doubt.
You know, and that's the best way I could sum it up.
No doubt, my G. Well, that's, you know, shit, that story is deep, man. You know, we'll be here talking all day. You know, we get ready to get up out of here. But anything that you want to say to the people out there, any message you want to leave for the kids? Or anybody at all?
To the youth. Do your research. Investigate people. Any organization, any crew. Don't believe everything you hear. Focus more on your brain than your gangster and you're cool. You can still be cool. You can still be tough, but focus more on your brain. Here's why. How gangster can you be if you don't control your food supply? If you're a man and you have to go to someone else to feed your family, how long can that last?
Right.
So focus on your brain and get into the knowledge.
No doubt.
And you can reach me at RBG Club. That's my Instagram.
No
Replace the C45 and replace the B46.
You heard? Thank you, my brother. Peace and love.